The more we connect to our anger and heal our relationship with our anger, we heal ourselves. And then we say, hello, anger. Thank you for being here. I welcome you. You're here to give me wisdom, and we're going to work in concert now.
Welcome to the How to Heart Show, helping men reconnect to the heart and empower others as the leaders they were born to be. I'm Vincent Haasboom. The world needs the raw and authentic men right now. Join us if you're ready to make a change. Hey, what's up, Lions? And welcome to the How to Heart Show. Anger and shame. That are the topics that I want to talk about today. And for me, anger, I've been angry a lot, especially within myself and the choices that I made. But also there came a lot of shame into my life and I didn't know really how to deal with it. And I see a lot of men struggling with anger and with shame as well. So I brought a really well deep, knowledgeable person about anger and shame. She is called Bronwyn Schweigerdt, if I say it correct.
Bronwyn Schweigerdt. Yeah, it's a hard
Bronwyn
name.
Schweigerdt. Yeah, I'm always terrible with names, so sorry. But what I like about her is her knowledge and really the journey that she made about anger and shame, and she really wanted to talk deeper about shame. And for me, that's also a topic that's really important that I want to share with the listeners and men that really are stuck or felt ashamed about who they are. So I'm really excited to have this conversation with Broen. And yeah, it's gonna be cool. So I'm really happy that you're here, and yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. And I am especially happy to talk to a more masculine audience just because I would say, as a therapist, the majority of my clients, and this is probably true for most therapists, are women. And, I think most of the people who go to self help are women. And yet, these are things that are, true for all humans. And I believe men especially do struggle with more shame. And I think it goes back to the fact that little boys are treated differently than little girls, oftentimes in their very earliest years, where little boys are not allowed to cry. And when you think about that, that little boy is being told that their most authentic, vulnerable self is not welcome, that it's shameful, that it's taboo, that there's something wrong with their most essential self. And that really creates a lot of shame just right then and there. That often just keeps a lot of boys and then men really dissociating from their feelings. They feeling shame about their own feelings. And they go through life with that oftentimes. And it just becomes this cascade. Um, and when they enter in a relationship with a woman, they don't know what to do, especially when that woman wants them to be vulnerable. And they're so shut down to that because they learned to be at such an early age.
Yeah, I agree. It really starts with the younger generation, and really when you're traumatized, and there's a lot of way of not coping with it. You don't know how to deal with it, right? Shame is really also when you feel ashamed, if you really downgrade it, you don't know what to say or what to do, or how to behave, so you just put it away, right?
Yeah, I mean, so when we're little, we don't have the objectivity to say, you know what? I think my parents are really messed up. Like, that's bullshit that I shouldn't get to cry like my female siblings. Like, that's ridiculous. We don't have that objectivity to question our parents. Our parents are still on the God throne. And we think, oh, it's me. I'm shameful. When I cry, when I show any kind of vulnerable emotion, that's me. But the beauty is, as we get older, we can gain that objectivity. And I do, as a therapist, and I do this on my podcast as well for the listeners to do for themselves, is I lead people in what I call integration exercises, where we kind of time travel back to our young self, and we kind of let them know, like, little me, little Bronwyn, that shame isn't your shame. That shame is actually your mother's shame because she is the one telling you that your vulnerable feelings are wrong. She's the one trying to shut you down, telling you it's not okay to be human. She's the one with the shame here. So let's put all of our shame that we feel in this big cardboard box and let's return to owner. And I just lead people through that in their imagination where they just return to owner, return it to the parent. And it's really powerful, something that simple. I actually did this to myself about 4 years ago by accident. I just like had this image of my father. He used to shame me every night at dinner starting at age 10. And I just imagined my adult self going back to my 10-year-old self, looking her in the eyes and saying, I know how ashamed you feel because he's just ridiculing you nonstop. But let's put all that shame right now in this cardboard box and say, here you go, dad. You know what? This was never mine. This has always been yours. So I'm just going to return to owner. I'm not the shameful one here. Do with it what you will, but it's yours. And after I did that, something in me shifted so profoundly. It was like I kind of came into myself, actually. Like I started trusting myself. I started trusting my gut. When someone tried to deflect their shame onto me, which is what I call shame dumping, when someone tried to do that shortly thereafter, I just was like, oh, I see what you're doing. I had like 100% objectivity. I wasn't taking in the shame like I used to prior to that. I used to just like eat it up. Oh, yeah, I am bad. Oh, what you're saying is true. I would just have no external membrane whatsoever. I just take it in. And this time, after I did that exercise, I just sat there like, oh, I see what you're doing right now. This is funny. Like you're trying to deflect your shame onto me. And we both know what's happening. We both know that's not true. And it it did not have any effect. So when we do these exercises for ourselves, it's like going back and kind of undoing these distortions, these imprints, what I call imprints in our early childhood, and rewriting them and creating a smooth template where things are set right. And it will affect us in the present and the future.
Absolutely. And bro, and I really want to thank you for being here and also your powerful start. It's really powerful what you bring up. And I also feel like it's difficult also to change, but also what I like, you take your power back. You really say like, okay, this is your gift to me, but I will give it back. I remember a friend of mine, he said he gave me like a screenshot, and there was a master and a student. And the master, he gave him a gift, and he was really angry at the student, and he gave him like, here is the gift with my anger. And
Mm,
then the student said, thank you for your present, but it's not mine. Here, I will give it to you
mm,
back. And exactly what you said. And that's the thing. We don't have to take it personal, but we make it
mm,
so personal because we believe it's true, because we hear about it our entire life that we're stupid, or we tell ourselves that we're stupid and we're
mm,
shameful and we're not good enough. So it's really powerful what you brought up, and I really want to thank you for that. But I want to go a little bit deeper on the story of who you are. So can you also
mm,
share a nutshell of who you are, and that you are a psychologist and really your
mm.
specialty in anger?
Yeah. So I am a what is called a marriage and family therapist, so a psychotherapist. And I yeah, so I ended up, this is a second career for me. I became a therapist because I was myself in a very profound depressive episode about 15 years ago, um, where I just desperately was looking for a good therapist. I went to lots of therapists. I couldn't find a good therapist though. So I remember sitting in the office on the couch thinking to myself, Bronwyn, you are hardly functional right now, but I still think you would make a better therapist than this person. And I felt that with pretty much every person. So part of my healing for them for that depressive episode was to go back to school, get another master's degree, and we have to get 3,000 hours to become licensed. So I really wanted to be the therapist that I needed. And part of now looking back in retrospect, my learning from that depressive episode, and then I had a subsequent one after that that was even worse and more pernicious, was basically depression is stems from suppressed anger, because I see now that those depressive episodes for me, both times were where I felt betrayed by someone. And I started kind of connecting the dots as a therapist. Most of my clients have more anxiety than depression, but I saw it's the same principle that, people would come to me and tell me about an anxiety attack. And I'd say, "Oh, right before you had that anxiety attack, what could have made you angry?" And they'd go, "Oh, well, yeah, actually, this thing." And I just started connecting all these dots that our anxiety, our depression, mania, psychosis, all these things are really a result of suppressed anger that is stagnating in our bodies. And it's making us sick. And I've actually done some research now. There's actually so much research out there showing how much it makes us sick with other things like somatic illnesses. So, like autoimmune disease, are really a result of dissociated anger stagnating in our bodies. Um, all kinds of autoimmune disorders, but also things like migraines. I find this with my clients, migraines, digestive disorders. That's a really common one. Insomnia, vertigo, all kinds of sicknesses I see now as, really are dissociated anger. So anger is an emotion, and the word emotion is mostly comprised of the word motion, which I don't think is a coincidence, because I believe that emotions are there to move us, to elicit some kind of motion. And anger wants to move us in ways that create assertive speech, boundaries, or accountability with someone. And when we don't do that in the moment or soon after, that anger is still in us. It's invisible, but it's very real. I always like to say it's as real as this laptop that I'm talking to you on right now. And it's real, and it's in our bodies. And now it's stagnating inside of us. And now it's making us sick. So we're likely to get depressed or anxious or have a somatic symptom. So if we can learn to heal our relationship with our anger, we learn to be true to ourselves and stop betraying ourselves. And we feel better on every level.
Yeah, it's fascinating for me also to learn about this because I never really understood that emotions or anger or stuck anger can make you feel sick. But also makes sense because you don't release it. So it needs to go somewhere. So it will pile up something somewhere in your body and it will grow. So I think it's also it's good to be aware of anger and why you're angry and what's the reason. And that's why I like also German new medicine because it also explains why certain things happens in our body can relate to illnesses because of
Mhm.
stored trauma or the things that we
Mhm.
don't resolve and we get sick from that. So I'm really happy that we have this conversation and talk more about this. But before we go into anger, I like to go a little bit deeper more into shame. Can you
Mhm.
explain to us what shame really means and how it really starts? Is it really like you explained from how parents are telling to us how at school how we've been treated from a young age, or can it be
Mhm.
also when we go older and those things happen as well?
Sure. Yeah, so shame is different from anger in that shame is not, in my book, an emotion, because it has nothing, there's nothing there to make us move in any way. It's not created to move us. It's actually created for the opposite reason. It gets us stuck. Shame makes us stagnate. Shame shuts us down. It immobilizes us. It is debilitating. So it's not an emotion, but it is a feeling. And most people feel it in their gut, I would say. And ironically, going back to like that shame exercise that I shared that I did for myself that one day 4 years ago, I said afterwards, I started trusting myself more naturally, and I felt like I came into myself. Well, what am I trusting? I'm trusting my gut, because I have found as a therapist that our our true self, like our core self, what we might also call our inner child, lives in our gut. I really see that. I see that in my clients, I see that myself. what we call our intuition. That's our core self. And shame, what it does is it kind of takes up residence in the same place in our gut, and it severs our relationship to ourselves. It kind of exiles us from our very self. And so we don't trust our gut, and we don't really, and it also is a liar. Shame is a liar. Shame tells us that we're either all good or we're all bad. There's no healthy human middle ground spectrum that humans, fall in. If we do something bad, we are bad and we're all bad. And so it distorts everything about us. It distorts reality. It distorts when someone tells us, "Hey, Bronwyn, I want to give you some feedback." It distorts the little negative feedback that I hear into just it just takes over, and that's all I hear, and I go to the place of all bad. And so shame is so debilitating. It basically the fundamental lie of shame is that we have to be kind of inhuman, right? Because what I always tell my clients is humans are messy by nature. We make lots of mistakes. And you know what? Mistakes are good because that's how we learn. But shame says, oh, you can't make a mistake. If you make a mistake, you are a mistake. It's so black and white, all or nothing. It teaches you, I can't be human. I can't be vulnerable. I can't have feelings. I can't be messy. And it's just such a liar at every level. And it again, it exiles us from ourselves. So we don't know ourselves, we don't trust ourselves, we don't believe that we are good inherently because it tells us that we're all bad. And so I also believe that humans need to believe at some level that they are good. And so if we can't give that to ourselves, if we can't derive that internally by believing we are good, we will become addicted and enslaved to things and to people that give us that reflection, that give us a reflection of ourselves as good. So that might be from how I look, my physical beauty, and I might get attention for that, but it's not really satisfying because that isn't really me, and I know that. I know at the end of the day that that's not really the core of who I am. So I might be very attractive, but it's never enough. It's never enough. It never satisfies. And now I'm like addicted to it. I always have to look good. I always have to act good. I always have to, make people think I'm a certain way. It's never satisfying and there's no peace. It robs us of our peace. We really have to be able to give that to ourselves. And that is what we do um, when we remove the shame from ourselves. We reconnect with ourselves and we're able to see, you know what? I'm not perfect, but I'm good, because I'm a human and humans are never perfect. I wouldn't expect myself to be, but I'm a net good. And I see that. And what I look at is my heart, not at my appearance, not at my accomplishments, not at how many friends I have, but my heart. And that is a net good. And I can see that for myself. And then I feel this peace. Like I don't need to derive that from outside of me.
Thank you for sharing. And what I really hear about is also perfectionism. I think is also creating that you want to be perfect. So for me, I also create perfectionism. I want to be perfect at everything. I wanted to have like 80 miles an hour, perfect. I wanted to talk with this girl perfectly, and no mistakes, no errors. Everything need to be perfect. And I was wearing this mask, and I was exhausting myself, and
Yeah.
I wasn't me. I was somebody else, trying to be somebody that I'm not, and just winning people over and keeping the peace. So
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of people also when they notice perfectionism can also be attached to shame. Then, right?
That is a result of shame. That's one of the many things that it does to us. Yes.
Yeah. It's it's really challenging. Also, what I like about your story is that you learn through trial and error. The things that happened with you, you learn and you changed it. You had also made a choice. You gotta keep continue doing what you're doing now, but you learn and you change it. So yeah, that's really cool that you turn a negative into positive. And I think for a lot of people, it's really difficult to really letting go and really start to live in a positive, right? If you First, I wanted to ask you. This came up to me right now. What is the difference between shame with men and women?
Yeah, I think shame is the same, but I just see men as having a lot more because of how boys are treated differently than girls. Again, like being able to be vulnerable. Girls are allowed to cry and boys aren't. And so that's a big one. Um yeah, so that's a big source. And that I think, like I said, it creates a template in that little child's brain that they carry with them the rest of their lives. Like me showing vulnerability equates with being abandoned or being rejected. And those templates don't go away unless we as adults, really challenge them. And so that's really, again, like those exercises that I do for my clients and then for my listeners on my podcast, they're not hard to do. They're actually very simple. But just knowing that we can do that and knowing the power of them, we can really change the script. We can really rewrite those templates.
It's really to become aware, right? To be aware of what's happening with us
Mhm,
and how we can change that. And I like there's tools. For me, I just never really use tools. I just use them at moments and
mhm,
not really I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna do this. But what I did, I just learned from my mistakes. And what I've seen now with my own podcast and the journey as an entrepreneur, I learned to be vulnerable. I learned to be
mhm,
that's okay that to make mistakes, even though if an episode fails or something goes wrong, or later I say, oh, I wish I said this.
mhm,
Everything is okay. Everything needs to be as it needs to be. And once you let go, it becomes easier, right? If you're letting go more and not take everything so serious, then I
mhm,
feel like shame, it doesn't matter anymore because you
mhm,
overcome it. I think there's
mhm,
ways, different ways, but I like that
mhm.
also your tool because sometimes you need something to hold on to start, but then you can let go of it. So yeah, I'm really gr- I'm really grateful that that you are here and also to share with us because shame. I think also with women they act different than men. I think men they gonna close off and they just
Mhm,
don't know how to do it. And I think for women it's more different. I think they gonna talk with girlfriends and they
mhm,
gonna do something else. But for men we're gonna create a bubble. We're gonna watch porn or we're gonna play video
mhm.
games so we don't have to face it. So
Well,
it's a
yeah, those are
yeah.
always
Go
to
on.
those are always to dissociate.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Is there? Can you share with us a little bit what people can do when they are stuck in the dilemma and don't know how to get out or don't know or not aware? I think the first thing is awareness, right? To be aware
yeah.
of what's happening.
Yeah, well, I can lead you in an exercise, Vincent, if you're open to it,
Absolutely. Sounds
so
cool.
we can model it. Yeah, so let's start if you feel comfortable just sharing, like, a recent something that was triggering for you that recently.
I was talking with a girl online and she became really aggressive and I felt like, whoa, this girl's really toxic. I felt not ashamed, but I didn't know how to deal with it. So I let it be for now. I for me it was just whoa. This for me I felt the flight. I just wanted to run away instead of
Oh, okay.
sitting there and dealing with it.
Okay, so, so I'm gonna lead you in the exercise, so I'll have you close your eyes, and I want you to imagine that you just saw what she wrote that was made it very evident how toxic she is, and I want you to tell me what you feel in your body as you imagine that.
A lot of tense in my body,
Where do you feel the tension?
my entire body from
Mm,
top with my heart and my legs.
okay, so let's do this. Is it more concentrated in any one area, or is it throughout the same?
It's more in the heart and the legs.
Okay.
There I feel the best.
Okay. So I want you just to focus on that sensation, all the tension, especially in your heart, and I want you just to let your mind passively float back to the earliest time you ever felt something similar in your body.
What do you mean by that?
Just a sensation in your chest, your legs, your face that's similar. So the earliest time, it could have been when you're 5, could have been when you're 13, whenever that was. But let your mind just float there. Like, don't try to make it happen. Just focus on the sensation and let
Mm-hmm.
your mind just float passively.
Okay.
And let me know when you have a memory.
Yeah, I have it.
Okay. Go ahead and share it then.
It was when I was younger. I wanted to grab a present, but it was taken away from me, and I felt like, whoa, so I'm not worthy for a present.
Oh, okay. So how old were you?
I think I was around 11, 12.
Okay. And was it like for a holiday or a
Yeah, it
birthday
was
or
birthday.
oh, okay, it was your birthday.
Yeah,
Oh, and then who grabbed it away?
my mom did.
Okay. So I want you to picture little Vincent, who's 11, and he's so excited to open this present. And his mom just takes it and grabs it right out of his hands. And tell me how you feel in your body now when you picture that.
I feel anger. I felt really angry, and
Mhm.
also in my body, I feel the anger coming up.
Okay. And do you feel anything in your gut?
It's warm in my gut. It's a warm feeling, but I feel a bit of anger.
Okay. So do you feel any tension in your gut or is it just warm?
No, it feels warm. No, no, really tension.
Okay. So what does your body want to say in fantasy? What does your chest where you feel that tension? If it could speak to your mother as you're imagining watching her grab that present right out of young Vincent's hands like that, what would your chest want to say in fantasy, raw and unfiltered?
That hurts. That really hurts.
Are you sure that's what it wants to say? Because it's angry.
Yeah, why did you do that?
Ah, there we go. There's some anger. So, yeah. So I want you to now imagine that adult Vincent goes to little 11-year-old Vincent who just had his present ripped out from his hands like that. And little Vincent, the look on his face is maybe one of confusion. Maybe he looks pained. And you get down on his level and you look him in the eyes and you say to him, little Vincent, I see how confused you feel. And I don't blame you. And I also see how much it hurts. And I see why. This is your mother. This is supposed to be your nurturing attachment figure who loves you. And she just grabbed this present right out of your hands that you were so excited to open on your birthday. And you know what, little Vincent? I need you to see what I see, and I need you to know what I know. I need you to see that if you feel any shame right now, it belongs to her, not you. And we're going to put all that shame in this big cardboard box and we're going to return it to owner. We're going to say, here you go, mom. You're the shameful one, not us. We didn't do anything wrong. We don't deserve this, and this is not ours, and it never was. And then you say to little Vincent, I'm angry with you and for you, and I see you, and your feelings matter to me. They're my priority, actually, and I will validate them. And I want to protect you. And now you can share all your feelings with me so they're not overwhelming anymore. Because when share feelings. What's shareable is bearable, and you won't have to feel them alone any longer. That's my job, to share them with you because they're valid, and I will meet your needs. And you know what, little Vincent? I will be that consistent attachment figure that you need because you don't have that, do you? But that's my job now. And I am happy to do that for you. I am pleased to be your attachment figure. I will be that trustworthy mirror that you need, that gives you a true reflection of you, that reminds you of how much you matter. Because to me, you really do matter. You matter so much. And I'm so sorry, little Vincent, that I have abandoned you and I have neglected you and I have related to you so much like our mother has. I'm so sorry. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea how much I was hurting you or how much you needed me or how powerful I am. But my eyes are awakening and opening. And now I'm here to stay. And I won't abandon you again. I won't neglect you anymore. And I am going to do whatever it takes, as long as it takes, to win back your trust in me because you are so precious to me. And I am so pleased with you because when I see you, little Vincent, I see the good, bad, and the ugly, but it is a net good in my eyes. And I am so pleased with you. And you belong to me. And I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to advocate for you. I'm going to protect you. And we're going to be a team now, you and me, collaborating together from here on out. And we are going to get our needs met for ourselves. And now that we have each other, we're a unit. We'll never be alone. You will never be alone ever again. And then I want you to imagine you take him by the hand and you walk him right out of that front door and you close it firmly behind you. And you say, "Look, little Vincent, here we are in the light of day where everything is crystal clear. And we have each other now. And it's a new day for us."
It's it's really beautiful to see when in my mind.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to share that you see?
That little Vincent is smiling and he's happy that we are together and looking outside
How do you feel
and
in your
knows
body?
that we're together.
Yes. How do you feel in your body right now?
It feels more relaxed. It's the tension is less. I still feel a little bit, but it's a lot less than in the beginning. And there comes more warmth inside my body.
Mm. Well, that's it. That's what I call an integration exercise.
It's really powerful. It's in the beginning I felt really Vincent, the small Vincent, really angry
Mm,
and really it was really confused, like you said. I was like, why is this happening? But once I saw myself down with little Vincent,
mm,
I felt really connected again with my inner child. And I really want to thank you for this opportunity and also share this with me. And
mhm,
what I want to add is also we are really disconnected from our inner child, right? We don't look at it. Once we're a child, we're gone adulthood, it's done. We don't look at our inner child anymore. Why do you think that's happening? Is it really that we are forgetting the inner child, or we don't care, or it's not something that we want to remind ourselves of?
yeah, I think for a lot of us, it's too painful. But I do believe that we all relate to our inner child the way our parents related to us. So we kind of continue that cycle. And so we might feel ashamed of our inner child. We neglect our inner child. We just continue it. It's kind of our default mode. So once we kind of awaken to that and we start to see our inner child as delightful and Precious, it just changes everything. And we win back her trust and we start to come alive together. And it really changes things.
Well, Bronwyn, it was a really powerful first 30 minutes. Like, wow, just you really touched my heart with this. So I'm
Oh,
really again, I'm so grateful for that you also share this with me, and also that you're helping your clients also achieve the same. And it's really what I've seen with myself is once I'm aware of the traumas, the shame, the anger, and everything that I felt like was against me,
mm,
but was really happening for me, that I can give myself some peace and really accept what happened. I cannot change the past. I cannot change what people did to me or done to me, but I can just say, okay, it is what it is. And it really brought me to the person that I am today, because I believe if those people and my mom didn't do what they do, I wouldn't become the person that I am today. So I also invite people that listening to this also thinking about the things that happen to me can also maybe be a good thing. I'm not telling you if you're being raped that is a good thing, but what can you take out of it? What can you do with it? Maybe you can help people or guide people through it and help them. And maybe it's a journey or something that you need to experience for you to help other people. That's what I feel, and that's what I like what you said from the heart. We are here to help each other and really guide and and learn also for ourselves, but also life can be tough and hard, but if you really switch and change it and look at it in a positive way, things will get better, right? It doesn't always have to be like you said, black and white. There's always a way out, a good way out.
yeah, I mean, I think the black and white thinking couldn't be more wrong because I think you're very right, Vincent, that, the pain that we go through in our life, you know, it can also create such beauty within us if we allow it to. Um, and it's the only way we're gonna create that actually. It has to be painful in a way. So I don't think anything is all good or all bad. I think everything is kind of bittersweet, so to speak.
Perfect. Well, I'm really excited for again, I'm for me this was really powerful, and I'm really grateful for that you what you shared with me. And I'm looking forward to go to our next chapter, and it's about anger. And for me, it's something that I've seen a lot of people struggle, and also I talk with people, and they come to me like, "Well, Vincent, I have a bad day, or I had a bad relationship," and they're so angry, and it's like, "Oh, do I need to hear this again?"
Mm.
But I understand, but I really would love to go deeper into the topic as well. But before we go there, I'm gonna share a commercial for 2 minutes, so don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back.
Increasing expenses have caused us all a lot of pressure these days, and it's affecting even the wealthiest of people. Most have lost their sense of security, stability, and even hope for a strong financial future. The game plan of everyone in your cell phone has likely been disrupted or even hardcore stopped, and most are looking for a creative solution to regain financial momentum. Oftentimes, life's best solutions are the simplest. But first, a question. What is something most people think they should own but don't? Crypto, fine art, real estate? Nope. We are talking about real money. The kind kings and queens fought for and large institutions today buy in mass. We're talking about gold and silver, assets that provide confidence in tough financial situations. So the question is, do you own any? If you don't, you're not alone. Most people aren't maximizing the power of precious metals because it's just been too complicated. And even though they see advertisements about gold and silver daily, they don't really know who to trust. That is, until now. The bottom line is that buying gold and silver doesn't have to be complicated or scary. There's a simple, better way to accumulate assets and create financial peace, headache-free. And this very minute, a new community of average people are seeing above-average results to the tune of tens of millions in assets over the last few years. This system is tested, it's simple, and it's not an experiment. To date, it's helped more than 80,000 people bring hope back into their lives. It's invitation only, and right now, this new community has accepted a challenge to give away as much free gold this year as possible. Curious? Learn how to get your free gold today. Check out the next step to get the details.
Welcome back. Welcome back. So, anger. Well, I like to learn more about you. You already shared in the beginning what it is, but what is it really? Is it really like stored emotion? Is it really something that we're frustrated about? Is it something that people are making us angry, or is it something else?
Yeah, I believe most of the anger that stagnates in our body is at a betrayal, when we feel like we are being betrayed by someone. So that could include feeling rejected or abandoned by someone. That would all constitute like betrayal. So that's at people who are close to us. Those aren't the people who are cutting us off on the road. Those are people who we have very high expectations of, even if we're not consciously aware of those expectations. They also have the power to hurt us the most. So usually a parent or a partner, could be a very close friend. Um, and so underneath the anger is pain, but we feel anger, as a result. Anger, um, or we don't actually, well, or we dissociate from our anger. So people who have grown up being shamed for their anger will dissociate from their anger. And so instead of feeling the anger, they'll feel anxious or depressed. But really, what they're feeling is anger. They're just not allowing themselves to feel that anger. Or, if we grew up with a parent who would threaten to abandon us if we showed anger, like giving us the silent treatment to a child, that's like, oh, you're going to abandon me. That's too scary. So we don't allow ourselves to acknowledge or really feel our anger. And when we do that, it's still there, even if we pretend like it's not. And so now it's just stagnating inside of us, making us sick.
So it's really the stored emotion that's really making us sick.
Absolutely. I mean, so, with with the research I've been doing on autoimmune disorders, I mean, you can look at white blood cells. When white blood cells are, we have a high white cell count. That's like very common with autoimmune. I believe it's anger actually creating that. Our body is like resisting something. It's like on high alert. So if we
Mm.
don't, so one way of thinking about it, so with parents of young children, we use a term called name it to tame it. So you want to, with a young child, instead of telling them not to be angry, you want to say, okay, Johnny, I hear that you're angry. And so if you name the emotion, it kind of helps tame it. So when we name our emotion, when I can say, you know what? It's okay to be angry right now. There's nothing shameful or wrong. It's not a feeling I need to judge. It's not good or bad. It's not right or wrong. It just is. And I let myself just feel it. It's usually in our chest. Then I'm naming it and I am mastering it instead of, if I dissociate from it, if I'm like, oh, I'm not angry, it's fine, everything's fine. Now it's going to master me. So that's kind of how we relate to it. We just name it and go, yeah, you know what? I am angry. That's okay. I don't need to do anything about it yet. I can just start by going, this is a valid feeling. It's valid for me to feel this way right now.
And it's okay to be angry because sometimes we don't want to be angry, but we're beating ourselves up. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be angry at this person. I don't, why do I feel angry all the time? But like you said, what I like what you said is it tells you something. It will tells you something about that you need to change. Maybe you need to change your job or your relationship is not working. So maybe that's the reason that you're angry or frustrated. So I think that's also really good awareness also for myself. Once I
Mhm.
feel this, like, what is it? What is making me angry? But I feel like also as an empath and highly sensitive, it's sometimes challenging because it's not always mine to feel angry. Sometimes I feel angry, but it's not mine. So you also need to be as an empath and highly sensitive, also to be let it go. Just, okay, I feel angry, but it's not mine. So you also need to be aware of what is mine and what isn't mine.
Yeah. So
So
you're angry for someone else, you mean?
yeah, sometimes I'm in contact with somebody else, and then I walk away. It's like, man, I feel so angry. But
Well,
okay.
honestly, Vincent, I think it is evoking something in you. I think you're identifying maybe unconsciously with something that person experienced. So if that's the true, I would just, I would so I see anger as a light on the dashboard of our emotional car and it says check under the hood, something's wrong. So if we can learn to see
Hmm.
it as a warning, as a barometer, we don't judge it. We don't judge our dashboard on our car. Oh, I don't like that. That's no good. We just go, "Okay, thank you. Thank you for warning me. I need to check the engine." And so if we can see anger in the same way, it's there to give me vital information, to give me wisdom for what needs to happen. It's there to protect me. And it might not just be to protect me, it might be to protect someone else too. And if we can see that it's really there for our good, for everyone's good. But yeah, so anger needs to be channeled out, like I said, in accountability and assertive speech and boundaries in the moment. But if we have old anger from things that we've gone through in the past, that might be still stagnating in our body too. But the beautiful thing is we can externalize that as well. And what I like to say is the best grounding exercise in the world is expressing our feelings into words. So I help my clients, and again, on my podcast, I do this for my listeners, express their feelings, especially the anger, into words. So in fantasy. So we don't have to have that person present, and which is good news because for most of us, if we were to express our real feelings at the people who've hurt us most, it would be counterproductive. It would actually hurt us more because they would not hear us, they would not validate us, it would not bring us any kind of closure. But we can do that for ourselves by expressing in fantasy. So I have people write what I call a fantasy letter, where they just go to town, they just write everything they feel, but especially include things like the patterns that they've seen in this person. So, for example, I did this for my father. I wrote a fantasy letter and I wrote, my basic premise was your pattern is that you invalidate me and then you make it all about you. And here are some examples. So then you document actual examples that substantiate this pattern that you've experienced with this person. And it really brings closure to kind of do it for ourselves, to put it out into words on paper or on a, document, on a computer document, and just read it ourselves and go, "Oh my God, it's true. Like, this is all true. This really happened. Like, I really lived through this." And it's very cathartic for us to have that for ourselves and for us to express it out of our bodies. So that's one thing. Another example I give is just like, and I'll do this when I'm like vacuuming the house. All of a sudden, I'll think of someone that I wish, and I'll think of something I wished I would have said, you know, when I saw them last and that I didn't say at the time. And I'll just stop whatever I'm doing and I'll just pretend like I'm talking to them and I'll say the thing that I wished I would have said. And so I just call that um, saying what's left unsaid. So again, it brings closure to us. We need to put that into words for us to give us closure. And then the last exercise that I'm a big fan of, it's more on the controversial side, I would say, but it's really what I call say the H word. And it's usually with a parent in fantasy, and you just pretend like you're talking to them and you say, I hate you. You say the one thing that you've been conditioned to never say. Does that mean you don't also love them? No, because we all, humans, it's very natural for humans to feel love and hate with the same people. Does that not mean we don't feel empathy? No, we can feel all kinds of empathy, but what we're doing isn't the goal is not to foster more hatred. The goal is to release the poison out of our body into the ether so we're free from it, right? And so just to externalize it. And I have seen more clients heal in, like, 30 seconds when they do that than I have with almost anything ever.
Mm, that's really powerful. And I really think when listen to you talk, I think it's really people are they hold on to the anger so long that they just get tired and sick of it. And they once they finally let it go and accept or maybe forgive this person, well, forgiveness is always a good medicine, but if you really let go and let go and forgive this person and say what you want to say, it's off your chest and then it releases. I feel like you were letting it go, like I said, you put it into the ether and then done. You don't have to attach to it anymore. And I feel like that's a really good way for us to let go and don't make it such a big deal. And I also heard a story that there were two brothers and they were fighting for 20, 30 years. And one brother said to the other one, like, hey, why don't we stop fighting? And he said, and the other brother said, I already forgot, but I was afraid to call you. I was afraid to
Yeah.
tell you how I felt. I didn't want to fight you anymore. So they spent 30 years of their lives arguing, bitching, and not telling themselves when they could have made up sooner, when they put maybe their ego on the side and start talking with each other because they wasted 30 or 20 to 30 years a grudge or something else that the other one already forgot and he wanted to make up. So I feel like people listening to this and also to Brian to start doing this because it can really help you and really live a better life and feel good, be at peace. I feel like that's really that's what I feel, what I want to share. The other thing that came up that I want to touch on for a little bit is the anger and really to be super angry. Just so really you want to explode. And what is the cause when you keep holding on for longer periods of your life? Really, really gonna make you sick and really close to death, or is really making you sick and you need
Yeah.
to go to doctor and all of this shit?
Yeah, I mean, I can't prove this, but, my best friend from childhood about 12 years ago died of cancer, and I look back and I see it was her own suppressed anger at her husband for how abusive and
Wow.
unfaithful he was, and I look back and I can just kinda see how, she was really depressed for a while, and then she ended up getting cancer and dying. I see the whole progression that every next thing he did, she just got sicker and sicker and sicker, and so yeah, and I see a lot of this with my clients. I'll see, how, one of their parents was kind of the codependent, the enabler, and the other parent was the abuser, and oftentimes the enabler is the one who dies of cancer very young or gets, like, a brain tumor or, all these horrible things. I think if we don't have a boundary with these very toxic people, they are when I say toxic, I mean physically toxic, not just emotionally.
Yeah, I have a friend and he was also in a narcissistic relationship and I was there in as well. And I remember it was so difficult. I was walking on eggshells. I couldn't live anymore. And I felt anger, but also a lot of fear. And I got so sick.
Mm,
I was so afraid and I was hearing her scream in my head and I was so afraid to buy something for myself. I felt really ashamed if I bought something because if I bought something and would lose money, she went crazy.
mm,
So emotional and physical abuse is emotional can be something more intense than physical because if I hit your face,
mhm.
you will feel it, but the next day it's gone. But
That's true. Mhm.
emotional, you can feel it for the rest of your life if you don't deal with it. So yeah,
Very true.
and well, my invitation is really do something with this because you will slowly die and really feel miserable and that's not the life you want and that's not the life you deserve. And I know it's scary to let this person go that you maybe 7 or 5 or 10 years be with, but you need to think of yourself and what's good for yourself because like she said, you can be really sick, and it's not the way of life, and you should be happy and healthy and really be in your power and not and do what you want to do. Whew, I still feel it in my chest. Just was so powerful exercise. So
Well, that exercise, what you were just saying, when we integrate with ourselves, it's easier to leave those toxic people because we're more whole and we're less
yeah,
desperate to be just not alone. Like the more we integrate, the more we're like, you know what? Anyone in my life is just a bonus now. I'm not desperate for someone now. They're just a bonus. So they go together. But yeah, can I make
yeah,
a shameless plug for my podcast so people can do this listening
yeah,
to
for
my
sure.
podcast?
Go
Okay.
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so my podcast is Angry at the Right Things. And yeah, so I do some exercises where I lead listeners in those integration exercises. Some are the shame exercises, some are more integration. There's one that's called a self-forgiveness exercise that's also really important because like you were saying, Vincent, that forgiving ourselves, like our anger at ourselves, I think you started along those lines. We need to also deal with our anger at ourselves. That can also be very toxic. So all of these things I really want people to be able to do for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so important. I feel like forgiveness is the number one thing that you have to do for yourself, but also towards others. Because if you have compassion and they didn't do it because they hate you or they wanted to hurt you, but it's usually a trauma or something that they deal with themselves, or maybe they have problems in their homes as well, and they looking for
Yeah.
somebody to unleash on.
Yeah.
And yeah, you are the right person there. You're not saying anything, or you're not setting boundaries, and they find you an easy target because you will know don't say no, you don't set your
Yeah.
boundaries. So I
Yeah.
feel like also forgive them, and I did that a couple of years ago, and my life became easier. I felt so much better. It was really difficult because I've been bullied a lot in my
Mm,
childhood, but once I learned to let go and really forgive myself and them, it's like,
mm,
okay, I need to move on. I cannot hold on to the past and be angry at them. I need to let go and just move on.
mm,
And it happened, and I learned. So I feel like that's that's a good
mm,
way for us to really
mm.
getting close to the closing the episode. But Broen, I really enjoyed our talk. It was so powerful in this episode. But I wanted to ask you, what can people do when they want to start investigate the shame, and what are the steps they can take? You really shared in this hour what they can do, and also with your podcast and the things that you do, and also with anger. What are the steps for people that they can take for them to lean into a better life and really start to heal themselves?
Yeah, so the more we connect to our anger and heal our relationship with our anger, we heal ourselves. I mean, those are one and the same. And they also, the flip side of that is as we dislodge the shame, we have to dislodge the shame. And then we say, hello, anger. Thank you for being here. I welcome you. You're here to give me wisdom, and we're going to work in concert now.
Okay. Yeah, I just needed to it needs to connect, but yeah, it's I think it's a journey, right? It's not like you're gonna do some exercises and then, well, for some people they can heal fast, but for some people I think it's really letting go and really
Yeah.
accept and just move on. Eventually, you need to stop fighting. I did that my entire life, just fighting and fighting and fighting, and then I
Yeah.
just said to myself, just stop. Why I'm
Yeah.
fighting so hard?
I agree. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me so much, Vincent. This was really lovely.
Yeah, I've learned so much, and the exercise was really powerful and gave me so much insight, and I'm really grateful to have you on the show. I'm looking forward if we can maybe in the future have another conversation, because I like this topic, and more people need to talk about this. So I'm really grateful that you are here and also share about shame and anger, because they're really powerful. They can destroy your life, but they can also be a benefit and really learn from yourself. So thank you so much.
You're
So how
welcome.
can the Yeah, absolutely. So how can the listeners follow you?
Yeah, I'm on social media, but my podcast is I would just encourage people to subscribe to that. I put my heart and soul into that. That's my passion project to help others. So that's the one that's angry at the right thing.
I like the name. It's really, really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how did the name start? Is just something that came up, or you just like felt like this is
I
the right name?
Yeah, it just felt like the right name. I don't even know. Yeah.
Well, cool. I'm really excited for also listening to your episode. And yeah, guys, subscribe to her YouTube. I really I'm really grateful again for having you on the show, and it was a blast. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.
Hey Lions, thank you for listening. Glad to have you on our journey to the authentic self. Want to learn more to embrace your potential? I invite you to keep listening. Do me a favor and smash the like and subscribe buttons, as this helps the show reach more listeners who need to hear these messages. See you next time.